That's right, Grand Finals game number 2 is here. And lucky for us, we get to watch it. Front row seats to all this action. Man, what a way to kick off Grand Finals here for NA. I was surely at the edge of my seat, and just judging by the community's reaction, it feels like everyone else was as well. But first, let's jump in with these battles here that are going to be kicking off at these drop spots. Muzz and Paper, we already know, had a bit of a close one, right? Coming out of game 1, if you guys missed that. And it could have went either which way. They actually ended up rotating out super early, missing out on tons of loot.
Yeah, the only thing that Muzz and Paper really got to take advantage of in the first lobby was that slurp truck, but even then, you typically want to be able to maintain some semblance of a loot path, and that's something that Cold and Acorn are currently trying to interfere against the likes of Yasir and Krizix. Yasir on the ropes right now, though, just getting completely ran down by both Cold and Acorn. A couple of tags coming in so far. Frenziato putting in some work here. Cold, though, recognizing just how slippery Yasir actually is, but with no shields and no coverage, Cold gonna get credit for his first elimination. Second one going through as well, since Krizix was already knocked, but a nice job here from Cold. Didn't even waste any time in terms of capitalizing, clearing out one of the more direct threats to their loot path at Fencing Fields.
Let's jump in with Clix and Epic Whale here at the Lavish Lair as well, contested by another duo. Poppy Blast and Dragon not picking up the hint that was left during the qualifying weeks. It seems like they feel like this is their best odds here for the Grand Finals, and they've continued to stick out this drop. Now, we do know Epic Whale and Clix had good damage early on in game number 1. However, it was in the mid to later phases of the game where they were a part of that wider pack of players and duos that just had a tough time as they slipped behind there. Trashy and Skittles here at the Pleasant Plaza. Also, highly contested area. There's no safe spots here on the Grand Final stage.
No safe spots anywhere on the map. Paper, though, full advantage against Acorn. Acorn had no idea. It's like whack-a-mole, the way that Paper just pops up. Gets that initial shot. Cold left to fend for himself here. Luckily, it's early enough that unless Paper and Muzz opt to try and camp Acorn's reboot card, which is a very real possibility in a Grand's lobby, but for the most part, Cold probably just going to choose to stick around until he gets an opportunity to grab that reboot card, look to bring Acorn back into this one. That was crazy.
I don't know if it's going to be easy for Cold. I'm looking at the map, and I'm seeing many teams start to pull up right now. Rise is here. Curly and Raze are sitting right there. They might have actually just found them for all we know at this moment.
Definitely a better loot situation, though, to start this one off for Muzz and Paper. These are loadouts that they can actually continue these fights with. You could see it in the way that they're trying to scout the rest of Fencing Fields out from the top of these rooftops. Rise, also alone, lost the Yamzo along the way. And he's going to opt to actually fall back entirely. Recognizes still a little bit too much foot traffic in the vicinity here at Fencing Fields for him to want to get involved. He'll have to look for a reboot van elsewhere, but it's a dangerous situation trying to traverse the map right now as a solo. So many teams likely to be starting their surge towers, looking for pick-off opportunities. That brings us right back to square one here at Lavish Lair. I do find it funny, though, earlier today even Clix on socials asking somebody tell Poppy Blast and Dragon to come contest us. And it seems as though Poppy Blast and Dragon, they had initially switched over from Lavish Lair, trying to take their odds at the estate station, where they'd be contested against Victor and B-Dog, but kind of just stuck in the middle as far as where they want to drop.
It's like tags coming in. There's a surge tower off to the side there at the Eastern Hill. Poppy Blast looking for a new angle right now. And yeah, Clix and Epic Whale probably welcoming this duo here because they did win every one of their engagements throughout the week. So you know the confidence is there. Welcoming in what could be easier amounts of surge damage. But all in all, Cold and Acorn, right? One of the big teams knocked out very early this game. So game 2 already shaking things up. Jump in with Pars and Baka, who had 42 points coming into this as well. Another top-placing team right now, struggling here to maintain a position right here. Baka's going to drop those heals. That's a sign saying, hey, man, you might have to heal me a little bit if these walls go down and you don't get to pick me up.
Of course, Trashy and Skittles, but they get a little bit too preoccupied. Skittles already ate one tag from Peterbot. Peterbot might have actually been the saving grace here unintentionally for Pars and Baka. Skittles was 1,000% trying to close in, potentially looking to key Pars and Baka in the process, but instead, because of Peterbot and Pollo making this rotation, they've isolated Skittles now. Trashy, a little bit of a sticky spot here, wants to find a way to reunite with his duo, but he's gonna have to wait until Peterbot and Pollo make their first move, and sure enough, Peterbot gonna be the first one to depart. Things still picking up though here at Pleasant Piazza, and a solo has been spotted out. Peterbot wastes no time applying a singular tag, 61 damage straight to the chest, and he's still just gonna keep things rolling.
That's big, big damage, right? You got to think about how much that adds up. You find several body tags, those DMRs, and all of a sudden you're very much soaring high. Take a look at this. We haven't really got to jump in with Reet and Ritual. It seems like they were dropped so early in the last game. They didn't really get to get their situation established, but this game looking much better right now as Ritual has an elimination. Sizing up the team and hits the headshot through the ramp right there. What a incredible tag, and then straight in for the elimination, wasting no time and boxing out the teammate. The 290 on the down body as well, just capitalizing on the damage right now. That is exactly what you want to do. And they're not going to have to worry about anything for the early and mid game. At this point, if I'm them, I'm just basing up and vibing out for the remainder of this one. This should put Reet and Ritual right back into the swing of things.
Fully maxed out. That's what it seems like. Pars Baka, though, back at Pleasant Piazza. They found an opportunity here, and they will make sure to punish Yumi. Finds himself eliminated. Back to the battle bus, waiting for lobby number 3 to depart. So good stuff coming out of Pars and Baka as they look to try and defend their turf. Clix and Epic, very similar encounters. Poppy Blast, Dragon, unable to hold the floors, just getting chopped and mopped up here at Lavish Lair. You can tell a little bit of confusion, a little bit of, yeah, I don't know, man, maybe we should just go back to a state station, but Clix and Epic, they want this fight every single day of the week. And it's a very familiar situation for them when they're contested. They love being contested because it's just Surge, man.
Yeah, you could tell Poppy Blast really did feel like they had it. I mean, they definitely had the height advantage, the natural cover going for them, but at the end of the day, I mean, you're just contending very, very top-tier duos, arguably in their prime right now. You know, we haven't seen a better Clix, right? In the last year or so. Epic Whale can be argued that he is also very much in his prime right now. So tough fight for them. We'll see what ends up translating out of that. Here's a quick look at Peterbot and Pollo having to use up their mythical bananas here as they wait out the bunker to open up here. And there it is, just on cue. Epic. Well, I was gonna say, I thought for a second there Pollo was just waiting to get knocked, but everything's okay. You just see that thermal scope, man, coming in so clutch here when it comes down to putting down these long-range tags here, making it as clear as day to land your shots.
Still not easy to do, though, and Peterbot just makes it seem otherwise. All the while, topside north of the map, Classy Courts, Dukes and Miro still hanging around inside of the storm. These early one-tick zones, though, nothing to really pose too many issues at, but for Dukes and Miro to still be lurking nearby, they're definitely just trying to utilize the launch pads, but also clearly trying to scope out if there's any teams or players that they could look to pinpoint and get some further surge on. Last lobby, we saw Miro lighting up that elimination feed for starters. And granted, they did encounter a little bit of a hiccup that put an early end to their run during the mid-game of that first lobby, but the last time that we saw Dukes and Miro compete together, they won Chapter 2 Season 8 Grand Royale. seeing if they can repeat some of that magic here now, Chapter 5, Season 2.
Yeah, Dukes is just such a hit or miss player. If you have him when he's on fire, I mean, things go relatively well. As you can see, he's wrapped up those FNCS championships. He's put big numbers on the board, but for Batman, Booga, and Rapid here, things are not looking too hot for them. They're just struggling to get by here deep inside the storm right now. Other action happening all around the Fortnite world, though, as we're just bending into the mid-game of game number 2. Take a look at Richo and Reet continuing the onslaught here. This time, it's onto a very unfortunate Braden here, who was trying to get away. And take a look, it's raining loot in the elevator shaft right there. That's going to put Ritual and Reet up to 3 eliminations, now sitting on a surplus of heals inside of their base. Unfortunately, though, the zone is looking like it's going to start trending to pull a bit further, so Reet and Ritual might be looking to make a bit of an early move, right? Not only for the material, but likely for the positioning here.
Just making sure to make full use of everything available to them on the map. That bush going to provide some nice coverage, but very clearly, Rachel and Reet are not going to be able to find anybody else just yet, so they're going to have to get things moving. Oliver OG and Larson, though, this has been a little bit of a trek for them, coming out of Breezy Coast now, a little bit further south here at the Reckless Railways. Handful of teams stuck inside the middle of this POI currently. Both Oliver and Larson trying to apply some tag pressure, but they might have to get a move on. They don't want to find themselves getting caught behind everybody else. Makes things all too easy to become the focal point of the lobby if you're the last ones to rotate in.
Talking about being focused on Cease right here. Very, very hurt. Worse for wears, but Jack putting up the defense on his own here. Doesn't need a teammate here, but Cease says, you know what? I'm coming back to give you the support here from Jack's perspective. It's looking too easy here. But no, doesn't have a chance to reload. Has to get out here, and all of a sudden now finds himself boxed up and then tagged. Unfortunate as he lets his guard down onto Zyro. And Zyro shows you while he deserves a seat at the FNCS as he clutches up big time for him and his teammate. What a trade and an exchange of events there.
All Jack needed was a second to get that reload off. But Cease already just too tagged up, too low on HP. 0 to hero with that last trade off, though, MDF. Lin probably ecstatic at the fact that his teammate just managed to close that one up. Granted, whether or not it really helps their endgame is a different story entirely, so we'll have to check back in with them because they were relatively deep inside of the zone. Mixon and Paco making sure to take full advantage of some of these stragglers' threats. Finds himself getting a little bit keyed here by Mixon and Paco. They definitely want to try and run him down if possible, but they've got caught from behind by Sphinx, who's just barely managed to make his way to reunite with his duo. Paco now in a little bit of a tough position. Mixon trying to trade blow for blow here, but it's Threats who's gonna get eliminated first. Sphinx also down to about half HP, having to expend even more of what remains of his resources. This could be a prime opportunity here for Mixon and Paco, but the last of the splashes have been used by Sphinx. He looks like he just wants to bail.
Yeah, that was crazy right there for Sphinx to find those big tags through the edits, but I'm also questioning the fact that he actually used those splashes like he could have easily popped a big pot there. So now the pressure is on, the clock is ticking here, and ultimately it's going to be that much more difficult, I think, for him to survive and weather the damage here, as you have teams everywhere right now. Desperation starting to kick in here for Sphinx, as he's probably looking ahead to say to himself that he will need a lot of damage as he's lost his duo mate. So we'll see what develops with that team. I think Paco and Mixon were very much in the right to push the team, though, as they need it, right? They're uncontested, I believe, right now. They didn't have any eliminations there. We know they did well when they were contested in the set lobby qualifier weeks. However, when they were uncontested, I mean, things were not very good for them. So trying to keep up the pace here, Taco, is what I think I'm watching develop.
It's also just the fact that Threats kind of looked like he was a solo there as well. When you consider just how far back Spinks was, the fact that he's coming from behind Mixon and Paco. Tragic stuff, though, for Linkame. Raze on his lonesome with 2 eliminations. Zero gonna get picked off in the elimination feed by Trashy. All these teams caught inside of the storm, just having a really difficult time trying to actually rotate into zone. Trashy and Skittles right next to the edge, but even they kind of fully understand the fact that other teams have already managed to base ahead, put themselves in a more advantageous position for tags. Raze, though, respect the attempt. He gets the reboot van reward that he was looking for, but not a whole lot of white heals to work with. This has got to be a straight up go, go, go situation for Curly and Raze if they want to make it inside of the zone.
I couldn't agree more, but let's jump into the top of the standings. Let's jump in with our Game 1 standing leaders here. Kanata and Cooper, who currently have 0 eliminations and just 17 damage above this threshold right now. So this is not an ideal situation by any means. Kanata and Cooper will have to actively look for fights right now and or players on this rotate. Luckily, there are so many to choose from right now. Wonderful tag there onto Thatch to slow down his momentum, and they just have options here in the distance as they're holding the edge of the storm right now. So I can see this going very well for Kanata and Cooper, but ultimately they have been one of the most consistent teams and duos we have watched play this week, and they have not let us down yet. Talking about, I'd say, one of the biggest surprises is actually Blake and Macwood's performances generally. That Game 1 was a show-off performance, but right now, so far below the surge here, I'm wondering if they're going to be able to claw their way out of this one.
They definitely don't want to find themselves having to expend all of these valuable resources on just surviving these Surge Storm tags, but it might be the true outcome that they're left to deal with. Blake and Macwood also getting lit up by Decay and Sigma, and they're not the only ones taking shots at them. Waterbending Mythics spraying inside of their builds. These wood walls not doing them any favors in terms of drawing even more lobby attention. Blake and Macwood so incredibly low on resources. Macwood's gonna wind up falling. Credits to Decay on that one. Third-party assistance from the Storm Surge itself. Sigma trying to close the gap now as Blake looks to retreat. Will find momentary relief, but as soon as he starts expending some of that Flowberry Fizz, you can tell Sigma and Decay contemplating, do we want to chase this guy down? Instead, they're going to look forward. They realize that they position first. They can always turn back around and try to light up Blake as he makes his way up the mountainside. But this elevation just so unforgiving for a solo. Blake does what he can to try and keep himself standing. Decent tag into Walkers, but Walkers with a distinct health advantage here. And Blake doesn't have many builds left to work with either.
I mean, I respect the movement. I respect the ability to not give up right now. 20 HP here. He hasn't gotten any easier. No tags in the mix here. Walkers earns himself the points. You know, that could have been any one of them, but it's going to be Walkers who earns those quick 4 right there. So well played for him. 2 eliminations right now leading into this end game essentially here is going to end his run. But at least it wasn't for nothing. Other notable names I'm seeing up: Clicks, Epic Whale, Miro, Muzz, Paper down there in the distance here. And there you can see just now, fully finished here. Clicks and Epic Whale sitting up at 4 eliminations, and once again, not too good as far as overall inventory is concerned for this game right now. It makes you wonder what is going wrong with their strategy here. It doesn't feel like a surge. It feels like it's something else to do with these zones. However, that's going to end it for Clicks right now.
Just a brutal rotate to try and make. So much congestion already cooling at the base of the mountainside. That's the thing. It's that it's the base of the mountain. It's just practically impossible to scale at this point. Epic will at least drop for some of the materials that Clicks had to offer, but as a solo from this far up that he has to climb to get to the next zone, he can tell, he can hear the shots surrounding him. It's going to be incredibly difficult for even a player like Epic to get in a solid placement performance here.
Well, we know it's not possible, as Peterbot has shown us before that anything can happen. On that note, Boyo is alive here as we're getting into this end game, and we are looking at consistency starting to come to fruition here. Tyler and Curve also had a very good game one, and they're also in this end game right now. Continue to keep eyes on that sleeper duo right there, but first we got Kanata and Cooper here on the rotate. This is a hard zone to make work for you, as you have to go up and over the mountain or decide to try to swing wide and stay around it and be at the mercy of all the teams positioned underneath you. But look at this. Loses Cooper in the process, forced to play for himself, and as he gets over, it's almost like you break the horizon there. He finds an opportunity to base down, and for how much longer will this be safe? We'll just have to find out as we just getting into the placement points now. Zone's gonna pull his way.
We're talking about how difficult these kinds of zones can be to navigate with these vicious elevation changes, but for a team like Peterbot and Pollo, this is where that aspect of agility really gets an opportunity to shine. They've already managed to establish a little bit of height over the rest of the lobby, but even on their last rotate, just 2 dashes, they save so much material in comparison to everybody else. There's no river of sticks for players to actually acquire any underworld dashes. Mixin, Paco,
Peterbot knocked Paco from the ultimate height straight down, and I was just about to celebrate the fact that all top 3 of our teams coming out of game 1 were still alive right now, and then all of a sudden Peterbot says, hold up, monster, let me drop Paco for a second and make it that much more difficult now. And just like that, we might be seeing a bit of an opportunity here open up.
The other issue too, so many of these teams, they're gonna get suffocated inside of these secondary height layers because nobody wants to drop to ultimate low. If the zone pulls back over the elevation change, you're stuck. You're not gonna be able to scale your way back up that mountain, at least without not getting lit up in the process. And that's kind of the position that we see Kanata in. Even with a little bit of Flowberry Fizz, he's gonna have to rely on the wings now.
Oh.
But as soon as he tries to fly, he is immediately shot down from the sky.
And that's huge. That's to the hands of Tyler. Tyler, who was inside the top 5 coming into this game right here. So a big elimination for him. Directly dropping those that are contending him on the standings here. Epic Whale's gonna fall as well inside the top 20, but it's Mixin who's alive, holding the base here. And we all know who's the eyes in the skies. It's Peterbot and Boyo who have the prime positioning here over the lobby. Notably though, Dukes is up, Miro is up. They're eyeing the second height, and you know they're not gonna let it go for free here. So Peterbot and Boyo still have plenty of threats here in the lobby. Reet and Ritual from the bottom of the standings are already jumping up here in game 2 as well with an exceptional performance. This game is starting to come together.
Peterbot also only has that DMR. It's going to be difficult to try and suppress some of these lower layers, even with that advantageous position. But zone pool, everybody's on the move yet again. Miro getting lit up in every which direction. Doesn't even know which player he wants to prioritize first, but he doesn't have to make that decision. Eliminated. That's going to be the end of his Lobby 2 run. Curve now sliding by as much foot traffic as possible. Gonna box up at the last of his builds and just try to play it safe, hoping that nobody can scout him out just yet. It's all about the placement points at this stage.
Yep, Mixin down as well to the hands of Reet and Ritual there. N-Pen took down Dukes, so that's going to be the end for them as well. Curve just holding on here, trying to earn anything. He makes it to the top 10, now top 9. Curve clutching up to stay relevant on the leaderboards. And in the end now, we have quite the game unfolding here as Peterbot and Boyo are running through the builds pretty quickly, but no one is looking to challenge them on high ground. Instead, it is like fish in the barrel getting lit up here. Aaron's hurt. Down comes Peterbot for the refresh here, puts the box and the walls down. They recognize there's a duo there. That's Reet. That's Ritual. Take a look at their perspective. Still very, very healthy as they're trying to find eliminations here, find points. But the storm, this edge of the mountain is so difficult to traverse right here.
Reet needs these builds, though, that Hakio could potentially have to offer. Ritual also going to follow through on this. Hakio, Mayfishy just barely clinging on for some moments longer. Oliver OG actually going to finish what Reet and Ritual had started. 7 total eliminations between the two of them as well is a nice point acquisition, but finally, Oliver OG, this triple Flowberry Fizz loadout might just benefit another one of these teams down below as he continues to try and follow from one zone to the next, all on his own.
Yeah, Oliver just doesn't have enough time to actually heal up at this point. Chubb's going to fall here. It's up to Aviv. Aviv finds Oliver OG there. That's going to be the Siphon pickup for himself. Did Chubbs drop the material? I'm not sure he managed to, but there it is. The elimination comes through. Reet and Ritual cleaning up the bottom of the low ground here and now. We're in a 2v2 situation, but there's no Peterbot. It's just Boyo here who has to take on Reet and Ritual, who have played so smart. But Boyo goes into the storm, opting to take damage for the little bit of mats, and honestly, he might be able to suffocate out Reet and Ritual if they don't have enough to actually climb here.
But they both got at least 2 bananas split between each other. Poyo, not a whole lot of HP to work with either. Reet, recognizing the fact that Poyo is definitely suffering to some extent here, chopping through trees, trying to continue following up through these past height builds that he has. Just that little bit of leverage could make all the difference, but Ritual, Reet, they are still climbing this mountain, trying to tackle Poyo. They finally get him down, and they finally go for the finish. Ritual and Reet stealing this one away from Peterbot and Poyo.
And they honestly fought tooth and nail all the way through. We actually highlighted the fact that Reet and Ritual had a very, very slow start, not making that appearance in game 1, and then all of a sudden they start off with 3 elims, and they continue to keep the train on the tracks all the way through here, game number 2. Well played for them. Take a look at it back one more time. Reet and Ritual find Aviv. They find Peterbot. They quite literally determine the win for themselves right there, Taco, as they have taken the opportunity away from Peterbot and Boyo.
Part of the risk involved when you're playing from Peterbot's position, trying to go grab the materials, the resources from those refreshes that Peterbot and Boyo were picking up, but just a beautiful job by Ritual and Reet. They truly masterclassed the low ground in this one.
Yeah, and although Peterbot and Boyo didn't win, though, they earned a lot of points, keeping them up at the standings there, Zeke.